Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is Spotty, the Mark 1 Fiesta that I bought in the west of France, road tripped 150 miles back home to where I live in Brittany. I bought it as a semi-running car. It's very solid, it's very sound, it's got a bit of patina. I decided to put him up for raffle, so in this video we go right through the car, fix all the little bits and bobs, make this absolutely proper. Last summer when I bought the car, I made a series of videos. We went through, we polished it, we fixed a few things, we made it run and drive okay. It was YouTube finished, but it wasn't good enough to sell or give away. So let's jump right in, start getting Spotty sorted. I think we'll dig into the engine first then. With a bit of luck, hopefully it just needs the valves lapping. It doesn't burn oil, it doesn't make any noises, it's not smoky. Obviously we'll be doing head gasket, all the other gaskets on the top of the engine. Give it a bit of a refresh. All right, 20 minutes later and the head is off. So easy working on these old cars. All the exhaust bolts came off, nothing snapped. Just got to pop the inlet off, pop the rockers out. That is about it. Look at the tiny little bores here on the inlet. I see from the gasket that they all have the same bore size, be it a 950, 1100 or 1300. So it's just a stroke that's shorter to make this a 950. But yeah, all that looks all right. That just needs a good clean up. I'll come and show you what's going on with the head. A fair bit of carbon in there. In a minute we'll check how leaky the valves are and I'll show you how we do that. I notice it does have, I can't remember what you call these, an umbrella style valve seal, which is literally just like an umbrella. It sits on the stem rather than fixing to the bit of the valve guide sticking out the head. These are not the best, and that would account for why we've got a fair bit of carbon and oily build-up in here. The gaskets that I bought did come with more traditional seals, so we'll see if there's enough of the valve guide for those to bite on. If not, we'll have to put the umbrella ones back on, but let's check the valves next anyway. Right, this is the quickest and easiest way to check for leaky valves. All you need to do is put your spark plugs back in, set the head completely flat on its back, fill each combustion chamber with water, get your blowgun, and you don't need to make a seal here, but you just need to put the blowgun down in the hole and blow. And you'll see that one leaks quite a bit. A lot on that one. That's all the exhausts. We'll do the inlets as well. That one's okay. A little bit. A lot. And a very lot. So that is my dead simple method of testing for leaky valves. Next, we'll probably just clean up these combustion chambers. A bit easier to do it when the valves are in place. So I started with this exhaust valve on number 4 because I thought I'd do the worst one first, see what I'm in for. And I used the drill technique because I don't want to be here all day, even though I will be here all day anyway, but got that one cleaned up. The valve as well is cleaned up pretty nicely. The drill technique, by the way, you drop the valve in with your grinding paste as you would do normally, but instead of doing it from this side with the sucky thing, you just get this side and spin the drill, pull it in and out. It is a lot quicker. We've got here our new stem seal. We've got enough of the stem, the valve guide there sticking out for it to push on. Yep, that's good. That is not going anywhere. Dribble a bit of engine oil on the valve stand before it goes in. That's it. 1 down, 7 to go. All right, everything cleaned up there, ready to go. Bolt holes blown out, cylinders blown out, top of the pistons cleaned off. Incidentally, I always use for cleaning up particularly heads and head gaskets these multi-sanding pads. And the reason for that is that the grit is stuck on them very well. So you don't get hardly any grit falling off. Obviously you don't want any grit falling down in between your pistons and cylinders. We've got our dowels in there. Final wipe off with some brake clean and that's good to go. We've got a bit of copper grease on our bolts. These are not stretch bolts, so no need to replace those. Before you put a head on, you just want to give all this a really good blowout. Make sure you've got all the water blown out of the waterways, the bolt holes blown through, everything like that. The point being, when you tip this over on its face, you don't want water and oil and bits of crud running out, falling on potentially your gasket surface. Just following the pattern as per the guide here. I use this piece of cardboard just to keep all the push rods in the correct order, which is always best practice. I want them to go back in the same place where they came from. Just give the cups a wipe off to make sure there's no crud in there. I do believe this was a relatively low mile engine. It says 22,000 kilometers on the clock and it's 5 digits, so maybe it's just 122,000 kilometers, which is 70,000 miles or so. That looks about right. Very little wear on these rockers. They don't have any play in them either. Consistent with very little bore wear. Just the valves, which is down to unleaded fuels, or also probably the fact that it wasn't adjusted when it should have been, the valve clearances, and that meant that the valve clearances ended up a little bit tight, and that causes excessive wear on the valve seats. You obviously just want to tighten down this rocker shaft nice and evenly, checking that the push rods are seated in the rockers as you do so. I think we're looking pretty good. We're going to need to do the valve clearances again, obviously. They'll all be a little bit tighter than they were before. More evidence that this is a low mile engine probably is there's no crud build up in here at all. I literally just wiped this down and there's no nastiness, no black death going on, nothing like that. So, right, pop the plugs out again to ease turning of the engine to set valve clearances. It's the most annoying bit of this whole procedure, but once that is done, just have to bolt up the inlet and exhaust. A few cooling system issues to look at, but I'll be ready to fire up. So I just took the battery back up to the car, and connections are good, but we had no power in the car whatsoever. So I got my power probe out as you do, started probing around. The engine is grounded, the body is grounded to the battery, got the live feed down to the starter there. And how it works is this main cable goes off to the starter. The alternator, I think, feeds back to that starter wire, and everything else on the car is powered by this small black wire here. And if I probe it in there, we've got no power. Here we've got battery voltage, obviously we should do, yep. And then I found if I just push this, the headlights are on, if I push that forward, we get a contact. So the insulation is intact, but actually all the strands of wire inside have broken, so fix that next. Turning our attention to the rear of Spotty then, just having a quick look at the back brakes. The shoes are okay. The cylinders are actually not seized or leaking, but they're old, so let's just change them as a precaution. I'm also going to change all the brake hoses. They're not cracked or they don't look bad, but they're definitely old. They've been on there a long time, so a bit of preventative maintenance. Let's just change those. We're changing the fluid anyway. I've been all over the whole back of the car. I've just been using this really coarse stainless steel wire wool sort of thing, and that's really good for brushing out all the mud. This is completely dry because it's been dry stored since last summer. So this gets off the flaky surface bits of rust, all the mud and grime. I've wiped it over everywhere. That's all the dust and crud that has come off. Everything on the back end is all nice and solid, literally just surface corrosion. And then what I'm going to do is give it a coat of this Lanoguard. The reason I chose Lanoguard is because it's nice and thin, and I feel it actually soaks into the surface and really stops the rust from coming back. Also, it's safe for rubber bushes and things like that. So you can give all these areas in here a good coating where you've got a rubber bush. You don't have to be careful about avoiding the brake pipes. Again, we've got bushes here for the shock absorbers and things like that. Everything can get a good coating. This is a little test patch I did here. It's relatively clear, so you can see what it's doing. You can see that it really soaks into the metal. It dries, it stays slightly tacky, but you can feel also that it's well on there. It's not going anywhere on here as well. It'll creep in behind all the little flaky bits of paint and such like. We can put it over the fuel tank, and we'll probably mask off a line here and do the exterior part of the sill as well. This rear wheel bearing, I don't know if you can see it, where is it? Yeah, just there on the right hand side. It just started to pick up a little bit. So we'll put a new wheel bearing in. New cylinder this side as well, brake hose, brake fluid will be changed. That's the great thing about these old Fords. You can get all the pieces for them and they're all cheap as chips. So I've been over pretty much every square inch of the car underneath now, cleaning up, preparing to do the Lanoguard, but I have found some structural issues. So this is the front cross member. It's an important piece because the front tie rods bolt up to it. It comes from the suspension arm here, up there. Needs that to hold all your front suspension in place, very important. Also the gearbox engine cross member, this piece bolts up to it. So the strength of that is quite important. When I started digging away in this corner, we got some holes here, some holes here, some holes here where it attaches to the front panel. The front panel itself, although it's got some surface rust, there is one little edge here where it's corroded away, but this panel generally is solid, and that is part of the character of the car in my opinion. So we're going to take these mounts off each side. I've strapped the engine up, take this piece off, and we're going to need to do a repair on this cross member. I had to watch back some of the videos from last summer when I was working on this car to remember some of the issues I had. And one thing was this front right brake was sticking. So I popped out this piston, forgot to video it, but it all cleaned up. Just needed a good clean up. The seal is good, the piston is okay. One unusual thing is the piston on these, it's mostly actually hollow from the other way, whereas usually the piston is hollow from this way, and that's just a flat edge, but in there is a big area full of fluid. And I guess that means you can have more fluid in there. Maybe it's a bit more heat tolerant before it suffers from heat fade. Got the carrier off as well. You can see that the pads have been a bit hot. Not worn out, but we'll get a new set of pads, and then just clean up on these areas here where the pads sit so it moves nice and freely. It's a bit unusual, this setup, where the caliper itself is held on to the carrier with these little shims that slot in, and then there's a pin that goes through there and holds them in place. Obviously they'll all be cleaned up, nicely greased. I'll give all this a lick of paint and they'll be as good as new. Right, I'm still waiting on brake parts, so I decided to crack on with the Lanoguarding. I'd cleaned all the rest of the car the other day, but today I just went round the front wheel arches with the wire wool. As I said before, this car's been dry stored. It's completely dry under there. All the little cracks and crevices, the joints between the panels, everything is dry. It would be pretty silly to make this wet, pressure wash it, and then trap water potentially in the cracks and crevices. But now the mud is out of the way, you can see just how straight and clean and original this car is. Some of the original underseal up here is flaked off, so we'll be covering all that up. We'll give this all a good coating, but there's no significant rust or rot anywhere. Everything is really nice. It wasn't especially muddy, this car, but you see just how much dust and grime comes off when you actually start digging at it. Got all the flaky bits off the suspension components so they can be coated as well. All of this can be done. We don't have to be careful of the rubber items because it's completely safe on rubber. It's quite cold today, so I've just got the bottle in a bucket of warm water to thin it out a bit. This is the applicator, just a hand pump. Screw this in the top of the bottle and off we go. This is a 2-litre can, so it will be interesting to see how much we need for a Fiesta. Is it? Oh, it's coming up the pipe. Yep, the pump seems quite efficient. Oh, this applicator is really good. Gives quite a wide spray. But of course, one of the advantages when you don't have to be careful about the rubber and such like, you just generously get it on everywhere. And because it's clear, it doesn't matter if a little bit runs onto the edge of the wheel arch and such like, or you see it. You can cover a big area in not a lot of time. Okay, this is officially my new favourite undersealing product. It goes on so easily. I did literally the whole underside of the car in 10 minutes. It's easy to see where you've been because it leaves a sort of a wet look and it dries to more of a waxy finish. The applicator's really good. You can squirt it up in the little voids and the little holes, squirt it up in the chassis rails, things like that. If you pull it gently, it gives more of a direct squirt, and if you pull it hard, it gives more of a wide fan. So all that is looking pretty good. Been over the fuel tank as well, in all these little areas here, these box sections, bits like that, got it everywhere. It's completely non-toxic as well, which is really good because my house is attached to my workshop. I get fumes from here going into the house. So to know it's non-toxic is a big bonus. This is a 2-litre bottle, and I have applied it very generously. I've used about half of it. So 1 litre to do a Fiesta is reasonable. I'll still be using a little bit more just to go down the sills and the outside of the sills when it's off the lift. All that is a bit easier to get to. But the cool thing is that you can see the condition of all of what is underneath. And it's obvious you haven't tried to hide any bad welding, nasty repairs, filler, whatever it may be. Everything is still plain to see, which is great for future people down the line that want to buy this car. Okay, chopped out the bottom section of this cross member here. It's really just this bottom bit that had rusted and the return, because this bit here is a water trap. So we'll get a new piece welded up over this edge. It'll come down here, there'll be a return. I've left the original return on, so we've got a bit more to weld to on this edge. Remake the holes here. Fill this whole thing with wax afterwards, and that should be good for many years to come. Let gravity do your brake bleeding, people. No need to pumpy pump. Leave your spanner on there so the fluid runs down there and drips off and doesn't take the paint off your newly painted caliper. Anyway, getting these front brakes sorted. Got TRW pads, no expense spared. This wheel bearing kit for the rear, £3. How? And it comes with the lip seal and the split pin. I think Autodoc is selling off some of the parts that don't really move, I guess. Grease is annoying to get out of there. So we'll pack these up. We'll be getting very close to taking this car for a test drive, which I'm looking forward to because I haven't driven it for months and months, not since sort of the end of the summer last year. Do you remember when you could install wheel bearings with nothing more than a couple of punches and chisels? Brings back happy memories of fixing cars in the late 90s. How easy it was. We did do a lot of welding back then though. All right, that's what that repair looks like when it's finished. It's a nice thick piece of metal, this, and it's shaped to the shape of the original valance. It's all plug welded across the front, welded across the top. I'd re-drilled the holes from the top down to pick up the position here. This bit still bolts flat to the cross member there in its original position, so we haven't messed up the geometry. All nice and solid. We'll get this all filled with Lanoguard. We'll get plenty down in here, and it'll run down in and protect this seam down there as well. Bit of Lanoguarding around the front to do, radiator back in, pretty much ready for a test drive there. A sweetly running crossflow is truly a lovely thing. That is all looking great. The oil I changed last year, the plugs and leads are nearly new. We've got a new battery, new coolant, new brake fluid, new fan belt. Lovely. It's still got a good shine on it from when I polished it last year. Wheels are looking nice. Everything looking pretty good. Gave the glass a clean. Bit of a clean out inside. Yeah, let's go for a drive. So we do have an original user's manual. It's in French, but nice to have nonetheless. And we do actually have its service book. But the last service stamp is 1979. Luckily we've done that, slightly overdue, but the French aren't that great at keeping up with their service records, I find. So the UK registration will be taken care of Simon at Car Import Solutions. If you're looking to import a car, be it from Europe, America, Canada, check out Car Import Solutions. I'll leave a link in the description for Simon. I think of all the 1970s Super Minis, the Mark 1 Fiesta is my favourite to drive. It just feels right, you know, the gear linkage is nice and snickety. The steering is nice and light and precise, it rides well. The exhaust note sounds nice. It's just a nice thing, it really is. And it drives so nicely. There's no creaks, rattles. It's just spot on. I do actually believe this is a genuine low miles car. It says 12,000 kilometers. Right, let's open it up a bit then. Let that Valencia sing. car's so light, even though it's a 950, it feels peppy. The speeds aren't ridiculous, obviously. But yeah, there's 60 miles an hour. It's a pretty happy cruising speed there for it. Not excessively noisy, bit of engine noise. Very minimal wind noise. Yeah, it's a happy thing. So everything is working. Heater blower, wipers, indicators, temperature gauge, fuel gauge. Yeah, that's about all there is to it, really. It puts a smile on your face. It's the sort of old car you feel you could literally jump in it and go anywhere. I don't think it will let you down, this one. So if you've already bought tickets, thank you for trusting me that I'm going to deliver you a good car. If you haven't bought tickets, I hope you will after watching this video. I do try not to put too much sponsored content on my videos. Buy a few raffle tickets, you never know, you could end up with a really nice car here. I will include delivery anywhere in the UK. The car will be registered to you at my expense. It will be tax and MOT exempt. If you live in France, it can be transferred under French ownership, no problem there. If you live elsewhere, you can still take part, but you will have to sort out transport and registration yourself. At the time of recording, I've only sold about 400 tickets, so go and grab yourself a few tickets. They're £2.50 each. There's a link in the description or on the pinned comment. There's only a few weeks to go. The raffle ends on the 6th of April. I'll hope to catch up with some of you at Rustival in April. Don't forget also you can win my Trabant. There will also be a link in the description for that one if that's your cup of tea. Go back and check out some of my other videos. I've rescued a lot of cars. I've done old Fords, old Peugeots, lots of micro cars, and there's plenty more to come. So thanks for watching. See you again in a future video.